Hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're going to take a quick look at one of the more unique secondary weapons, the Tysis. First things first though, if you want to get your hands on this weapon, you simply buy the blueprint from the market. The blueprint will cost you 30,000 credits, and then to build the weapon you have to put an additional 30,000 credits, 2 neurodes, 400 plastates, 900 nanospores, and 100 polymer bundles. The Tysis requires you to be at least Mastery Rank 9 to use it, and the reason it's pretty unique is because it number 1 has the highest status chance of all secondary weapons of 50%, and number 2 it does pure corrosive damage. 79 corrosive damage to be more precise. Now this is a semi-automatic dart gun that fires up to 2.5 darts every second. It has 11 rounds in the magazine with reload time of 1.2 seconds, and it has a very pathetic 3% crit chance and a below average 1.5 times crit multiplier. Now the darts do have travel time, so you have to read the target, especially at longer ranges, but it's not too bad because the darts are pretty fast. The weapon is also pinpoint accurate even with the darts that are generated by multi-shot, which is super nice, and it doesn't come with any polarities as standard. Now I've tried a ton of different setups with this weapon, but this is the one that I like the most, and it is a 3 Forma build where I've added 3 Vs. And the mods I'm using are Hornet Strike for damage, Barrel Diffusion for multi-shot, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, that I have Auger Pact for more damage, Gunslinger for some fire rate because the fire rate is fairly low, and then I have Pathogen rounds, Pistol Pestilence, and Scourge for gas damage. This also provides 100% status before multi-shot, meaning that even the darts that are generated by multi-shot will always proc status. And you want to use Pathogen rounds instead of Heated Charge or even Prime Heated Charge because the damage of the toxin proc that's caused by proccing gas is affected by the amount of toxin damage that you have in your gas damage. So if you were to go with Heated Charge, you would only add upfront damage. Now before you go, dude, what are you doing? Just go with Corrosive, Viral, and Radiation. And I've tried that, but the thing is, you have to be really careful with doing that on a weapon like this. Because number 1, you can only increase the corrosive damage by adding in more corrosive damage. You can't do it if you add something like Viral. And you only need 2 dual stat mods to hit 100% status, so you would probably go with 90% elementals or even 165% element in the form of Prime Heated Charge. And that would give you way more viral and radiation damage than corrosive damage, which is the exact opposite of what you want. Because the way the game determines what kind of status effect you proc is based on the amount of damage on that weapon. If we're talking just pure elements, so if you have 50-50 corrosive and viral, it will proc corrosive and viral 50-50. But if you have more of one, it's gonna proc it way more than the other. So in the end, you would proc far more radiation and viral, which you only need to proc once every few seconds, than corrosive, which you want to proc far more because it strips armor a bit at a time. I made this mistake a few times before because it's an easy one to make, but it's not that big of a deal because it's only an issue with weapons like this. Weapons that can give you 2 combos or even 3 combos that you can't normally get together because they require the same element. But this isn't the only reason why I decided to go with gas and corrosive, because gas and corrosive also make a brilliant combo together. Toxin procs are somewhat similar to slash procs. It's a damage over time effect that stacks, but unlike slash procs, toxin procs don't ignore armor. So they're pretty terrible versus armored units, especially heavily armored units, because the more armor the enemy has, the less damage the toxin proc is going to do. But you normally can't use it with corrosive because both of them require toxin, so you either have to use a Warframe that strips armor, or you have to use a Kavad that strips armor, or you have to avoid Grenier and corrupt it. Unless the weapon you're using has innate corrosive damage, because then you can go with corrosive and gas. And that, assuming the weapon of course has enough status to proc it, solves the only issue you have with gas and toxin procs in general, which is armor. This creates a very powerful and versatile combo because gas and corrosive is like the perfect combination to run versus the infested. The lower tier units are weak to gas and toxin, and the higher tier units are weak to corrosive. And the gas clouds will also ensure that you won't be overwhelmed by the infested like you could be with some other single target weapons. It's also very strong versus the Corpus because the toxin procs from the gas clouds will bypass their shields, completely nullifying their secondary defense, and a lot of their robotic units have armor which you can strip away with the corrosive portion. And finally we have Grenier, which rely heavily on their armor, whether it be ferrite or alloy armor. And you strip that away with corrosive while simultaneously stacking mad amounts of gas or toxin procs on them. So this is an immensely powerful combo that's effective basically across the board. It is really strong and it took me way too long to explain. Bloody hell. So if you build the Tysis for gas and corrosive, it's actually very strong and it can even take care of groups of enemies even though it is a single target weapon. Like you can see over here, you can do Elite Sanctuary Onslaught with this. You're not gonna get it very far, but you can do it. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be absolutely bonkers if you get a good Riven for it, because it has perfect Riven disposition. But is it worth it if you don't have a Riven for it? Well, I would personally recommend you check it out. I mean, you might as well build it, because by the time you get to Mastery Rank 9, you should have more than enough materials to build it. But I honestly feel like, even though it is unique, it should be Mastery Rank 8, maybe 7, because the other secondaries you get at Mastery Rank 9 are the Ekbolto, Axomati, Maradetron, Embelist, Pox, Twin Grakata, and the big one, which is Twin Roga. Twin Roga are really good. Now yes, they are shotguns and they have pretty harsh fall off, but they do like 700 damage per shot. So as I've said already, I would personally pick it up, but it's up to you, and I hope I did a good enough job of showcasing the weapon so that you can decide on your own. It's just a solid weapon that will absolutely decimate the star chart. You can do high tier fissure and nightmare missions with it, and you can even take it into sorties. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.